Welcome to the Parts and Labor Podcast, the podcast that explores strategies, systems, and stories that drive salon success. I'm Alicia, founder and CEO of Salon Scale.
And I'm Whitney, head of sales here at Salon Scale. Welcome to the Parts and Labor Podcast. Okay, welcome back to the Parts plus Labor podcast, our first episode of the new year. I'm your host, Whitney.
And I'm Alicia.
And we are so excited because we have a guest. So not only is it one of our first episodes of the year, but we have a exciting guest, Lacey Broocke of the Beauty Concierge, and also recent author of Secrets of a Six Figure Stylist. I read your book. It was incredible. I would say it was
Thank you.
such like a fun read, and I think that there were a lot of nuggets in there for every kind of stylist too. So we can kind of get into that. I don't want to jump the gun here. I think what would be a good place to start is just tell us a little bit kind of about yourself, about your story in this industry.
Where do I begin? 25 years ago was a long time ago, you know? But I've been a beauty professional for the last 25 years, licensed cosmetologist and esthetician. A few years into my career, I opened my first salon and spa. I should say only salon and spa, but I opened a salon and spa. That was my dream, was to have a salon and spa with all the bells and whistles. And let's just say that I learned a lot. It was one of the best things I ever did, and selling it was one of the best things that I ever did. But I learned so much. And it really just opened my eyes to a different world. You know, most of us have that dream of being a salon owner, and we have no idea how to run a business, you know? And fast forward, after I sold it, I auditioned to become a Redken artist. I was a colorist for Redken and was on their business team for the majority of my career, I think about 13 years or so, until I resigned a few years ago, which I absolutely loved. It was so much fun and so different than I ever imagined, but I was blessed with the opportunity to be in salons across America, work hair shows, fashion shows alongside some of my hair idols. And it was really a dream come true. And after I resigned, I didn't know what I was being led to do, but I just felt like I was being pulled and called to do something different. And about a year after I resigned, Kylie and I got together and formed Beauty Concierge. And we wrote our book, Secrets of a Six Figure Stylist. And we really just wanted to give back to the community. We wanted to make an impact on this community that we love so much. And let's face it, nothing has been the same since COVID. And it really opened my eyes when I went back after being off for a year, how many salons were struggling.
Mhm.
And I knew something had to shift, and I didn't know what it was. So a couple things happened, you know, in the book. Kylie introduced me to Salon Scale, which is why I'm here today. Her story with Salon Scale blew me away. Her salon company made over $117,000 their first year using Salon Scale.
Unreal.
Like what? Like they didn't take any extra clients. They didn't change anything else besides their pricing structure. And so, you know, when her and I came together, it was like we were sharing all our dirty little secrets that we didn't want to be secrets. We were like, that everybody needs to know these things. And I was like blown away that I didn't know about it. Because I mean, I've been in the trenches, you know, in salons, like, and nobody told me about how amazing this was. So I found that out, and I also became a licensed financial professional. I really felt led to help stylists and beauty professionals learn how to retire, you know, tax-free, or set up smart retirement plans and have living benefits, things that we desperately need, that it seems like the majority of our industry is uneducated about.
Yes. I know. I feel like I'm like I've heard this story before. I echo a lot of it. You know, I've as a former salon owner myself, I think that's exactly what happens, right? And it's great to kind of take this chance and seeing you guys, reflect on your journeys and then, bring all this to light to help others is it's coming from a great place. And so, I mean, I'd love to learn a little bit more about really, I want to learn more about Beauty Concierge and just kind of those steps, like what made you say yes? And, what do you hope others find when they work with you?
Okay, so what made me say yes to joining, like Kylie and I joining forces?
Yes.
Um, sharing is caring.
Oh,
I've been an educator for so long and I missed being an educator. And so I wanted to share. And so that is probably what made me say yes. Kylie and I have done several things together, although we had never met in person, y'all. We had never met in person when we joined Beauty Concierge. We met, I think you probably read in the book, we took immediate action. We formed our LLC. We wrote out everything that we wanted, and then we just got down to business. We were on the phone with several publishers, I think even that day.
Mhm.
amazing.
And so we just got the ball rolling. And actually the book wasn't what took us so long. We had everything in here for the book, but we didn't want to just give them the book. So the book is kind of the what. And we built a course to go along with the book to show them how. And
Amazing.
we also have coaching opportunities available for group coaching or one-on-one coaching or salon rescue missions where, we actually would come into your salon and do a salon intensive for people who are like, I don't know what to do. I'm in way over my head. And it's not just for people who are like about to close. Okay. It is something for everyone. So when people work with us, it is really customized to what they are needing specifically. So we go over things like their pricing structure and how they are charging, which has been mind blowing, just totally mind blowing. And I found out that the main reason why people don't charge for parts and labor or charge their worth is just all based on fear. It's all fear. It's all up here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
I
go ahead.
Yeah, I love that part of your book too about if you're going to take food off your table to fit your client's budget, like it's not you have to think of it like that. If you're undercharging, especially when you bring up discounts, like the amount of discounts that happen within a salon. And a lot of times the client doesn't even know that you're giving them a discount. They might not even realize that it's
Yeah.
happening. And yet you could be holding this resentment for doing like a client that doesn't even know that they're giving a discount, but you don't want to do it as much because it's a lower cost service. So I think that was really insightful in there too.
Yeah, thank you for that. It's the mindset is everything. And that's where Kylie and I really vibe is because we have similar not only entrepreneurial mindsets, but very strong uh mindsets. And we both do a lot of gratitude work and mindset work. And so even when working with people, we're able to identify those blocks and what they need to work on mentally to be able to get to where they want in their business.
hmm Would you say that so it sounds like you're speaking directly with like a lot of commissioned salon owners. I noticed in the book, it felt like again, there was kind of something in there for everybody. Reading it, it felt like it was speaking to commissioned stylists, independent stylists, and commissioned salon owners. Is there a group kind of you wrote it in mind, or who does Beauty Concierge normally service?
That's a good question. It is commission salons, it is renters, it's salon owners that have a rental salon. It is even for just any salon owner. It is for beauty professionals. We didn't want to limit it to just one because we have experience in all of it. Like I myself rent a space. So I myself have owned a commission salon. I have worked in commission salons and, all of it. And there are things to consider when you're doing each one. They're not all the same.
Mhm.
And everybody thinks, oh, I want to rent a suite. I want to have my own suite. And then so many of them get out in a suite and they don't know how to run a business. I mean, let's face it, over 80% of our industry is self-employed.
Yeah.
And they're trained on how to work in the business, not on the business. So they might be the best hairstylists in the world, but if they don't know how to run their books or manage their business, they're just going on a wing and a prayer, you know?
Mhm.
And do you find that the first place is connecting them with, obviously where they're at, and then the mentality, like working through that kind of phase first before you jump into action? Is that usually how things work?
Usually, and you can kind of figure out that just by having, a consultation like this, a face-to-face whether it's FaceTime or Zoom. Um, Hairdressers can read people, and most of us are pretty confident, but some people are not. So I think that has a lot to do with it.
Do you find pretty similar issues between like your commission salons versus an independent stylist? Does it kind of all boil down to that same thing, or do you find that they're quite different?
I think it's pretty similar.
Mhm.
I think it's pretty similar. The difference is the renters have a little bit more confidence and they usually have a little bit more ego and resistance to learn and change, if I'm being honest. And I've seen that across the nation since 2010 when I became a Redken artist, okay? I would go into salons, even blended salons who would host classes, and all the commission stylists would be there because they had to be there. None of the renters would be there. None of the renters were there. They didn't want to take time off their books to learn something new.
Mhm.
So unless they're in a way and even will admit to themselves that there needs to be a change, um, sometimes they're
And
not willing to do it.
I know, I feel like it's hard just with them, like, your foot's on the gas as an owner. Like you're just constantly like rev revenue, right? It's you're trying to stay there. So to take some time to learn what's actually going on, then there's that fear of, if I stop doing this, can I even afford that? And that's kind of really where we get a lot of people hesitating. But I'm sure after, how long you guys have been doing this now, is you probably have seen a lot of breakthroughs and success. And I'd love to kind of take it to that, to, share with us like some of your success stories or some of your like most proudest moments of working with owners that are in these types of situations.
Okay. So one of the owners I worked with last year, she actually is a rental salon owner and she's a coach herself. And on our first session, I was able to identify, her pricing structure needed help. And so Salon Scale was the first thing that I recommended to her. And she was scared to do it, but she took immediate action. She implemented it right away, like the next week. And after a week or two, she called me or texted me, I don't remember which one, and was like, Lacey, I can't believe this. She just tried it on herself. She didn't introduce it to her staff yet. But she was like, I did the math, and if she goes, I really wasn't that busy this week or the last 2 weeks, but I made an extra, I don't know what it was, but over the year, it equated to an additional $21,000 in her pocket.
Mhm.
Oh,
And so that was after one session working with us because of implementing parts and labor.
What would you say? So when they come back at you and they say like, I don't want to, I'm scared, like I don't, what are the clients going to think? Like, what's your go-to kind of pep talk to get them across that line?
I would say, what are you more scared of? Being broke and staying in the same situation that you're in and like struggling and, not having a retirement? Or are you, more scared to hurt somebody's feelings?
I love that. We run into that same thing, here at Salon Scout. I would say that's what we hear quite often as well, is this not wanting to charge a client, afraid of losing clients, and we can kind of give that validation and say like, no salon has ever lost clients. It's not a thing, it's like you said, it's up
It's
here.
literally not a thing. When I implemented this into my business last year, I did not have a single person say anything. Like nobody said anything. Um, I was like, gosh, I wish I knew about this a long time ago. And
Hmm.
I don't work that often in the salon. I only work 1 week. I only take clients 1 week every 6 weeks. So, even just that small impact, was huge for my own personal business. And I have a stylist, that I work with in the salon. And first of all, my salon that I work in, I coach them. And I finally talked them into switching. They were using another company's scale. And when they did, not only did they save money on the subscription, I made two recommendations. It took them 6 months to do it. And when they did, they were like, I'm saving over $600 a month in subscriptions. And on top of that, the increased revenue so far, like the first 6 months was like $15,000.
Wow.
So, but there's a rental stylist because, if you're rental, you do whatever you want. She won't do it. She won't do it.
Hmm.
And she doesn't feel right charging her clients for the product that is used on them. And I just don't understand it.
And I think too, what I try and get across is like, well, you already are, if you're charging for extra bowls, if you're accounting for a set amount within like what your price, you're already doing that. You're already charging client for product too. It's just now it's specific. Instead of saying $20 for an extra bowl, it's well, you actually only used 17 today, or you used actually 23. And so it's
Yeah.
really fair and specific to what exactly was mixed up.
Yeah. And something that I shared with my clients and I've shared with other stylists is, everybody's aware that the price of everything has increased, exponentially. I've lost touch with how much inflation is up right now. Like just because it just keeps going up. It's not going down, people. It's not going down. All right. When we go to the gas station, and gas is more expensive, who pays more? The owner of the gas station or we, the consumer? It's always the consumer. Why
Mhm.
is it different in the beauty business? It shouldn't be.
I
Um,
noticed, yeah, I noticed that line you wrote in the book. It's like when oil goes up, the price of gas goes up. It's just really that simple. Otherwise, you eat that cost.
yeah. And when the price of oil goes up, everything goes up.
Yeah, no kidding.
No, it really does because it affects the cost of everything. My husband's in oil, and I really did not realize how how many things oil is in, and then it takes fuel to get everything everywhere, and everything gets more expensive when oil gets more expensive.
Hmm.
The thing is, when oil goes down, other prices don't go back down. They stay up.
Yeah. We noticed that we're in Canada here, and we had a carbon tax, which affected our oil prices too. And when that finally got taken off, I would say our price of gas went down, but everything else just stayed right where it was.
It always does.
Yeah.
It
Then
always.
that's the new price. And then inflation is built off that price the next year. And so they can say, okay, inflation is only, it's at an all-time low, but it's coming off an all-time high. So it's inflating on a much higher, especially like you said, since 2020, when we had these massive jumps. And now it's like, well, okay, yeah, but a small inflation even looks like a dollar or two versus where before it would, cents. And now we're talking in dollars. And so and like you said, it's just going to get worse. Not going away.
Well, it's something that I've just said to my clients and I've said to other people, you know, I haven't really been able to raise my prices over 50% to keep up with inflation. Inflation's up over 50%. I couldn't raise my prices 50%, but I could do this to offset it to stay in business.
Hmm.
And people
Yeah.
understand that.
Yeah, I found too, like speaking with a bunch of salon owners, like I'd always ask the question is like, when it comes to your pricing, are you confident in your pricing? Are you comfortable in your pricing? So it's like, what side of the fence are you on? So if they're confident in their pricing, then the next question would be, okay, are you confident in how much you're making, or how much you're profiting? Or are you comfortable with how much you're making or profiting? So it's almost like this ladder kind of question that almost distills down to a lot of people that are like not wanting to charge a customer for the product, or it's that they're living in a space of comfortability, and growth is at the edge of your comfort zone. So that's where we start to kind of distill it down to know that, what, giving some information, helping them understand a little bit more of this change to gain the confidence, then takes them over to the side of seeing what is possible. But it's usually that, that's where they kind of get stuck, is like, that unsureness, or being comfortable with doing this is actually what's blocking, what you're worth, or what you actually should be getting, or how to run your business so that it's maximizing profitability every time.
You're totally right, Alicia. You're totally right. And, in fact, when I was teaching on a consistent basis at the beginning of my classes, that is something that I would share. There's danger in the comfort zone. When we're comfortable, we are not in growth mode. When we're uncomfortable that we're stretched and that we really grow. But it does take getting uncomfortable to get to the places that we want to be. We have to have uncomfortable conversations. If we want to see even a change in our personal physical body, like you want to drop a few pounds, you're going to have to get uncomfortable, whether it's with the food or with the workout. You're going to have to do a little extra more. You're going to have to get a little uncomfortable, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I always do that. Like, if you take, we're also pretty impulsive. Like, we want results right away. So as soon as, someone's like, okay, yes, okay, I'm ready to do this. It's like, okay, but here's actually the secret. We actually have to learn and really unwind what we're talking about, so you truly understand it before you take action. Because if we just take action right now, you're not going to create, the understanding of what it did, and the reflection of what you've done and why it's done, improves your communication to your customers, improves communication to your staff, if you have staff, and then ultimately for yourself, it makes you realize the ROI of what you just did and the impact of it, so that it stays as not just a right now change, but a forever change.
Yeah, totally. And what we like to do is when we can help these salons create more revenue through things like salon scale and through other avenues, we like to reinvest that money. Okay, now we have this extra money. Now let's reinvest it to get more butts and chairs. Okay. And now what can we do with this money? Let's get, an evolving game plan. It's also like, the evolution of your style. It's the evolution of your business. And so we're always growing, we're always moving, but the goal is to be able to get them at the end of the road to be able to retire comfortably or to be able to have money in the bank. And so teaching them how to get more clients, how to maximize their earning, and also how to grow the money that they have and keep more of that money that they have as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what you're doing is really so important. I don't think that it's not something taught in school. And so I think, you hear that you should save, but in your 20s and in your early career, you feel like you have no money to save. But really, the earlier you start it and the earlier you start thinking about it, the less scary it becomes the older you get. Because I even saw a post you did the other day that was like, do you want to be 80 and still behind the chair? Because at that time it's critical. The longer you wait, the more critical it gets, the more you really have to. But if you have time on your side and you start kind of thinking about those things early, even if it's small, you have compounding interest on your side. And so I think like it's really important what you're doing. I as a 40-year-old, it is not something I ever thought of. I thought when people said saving money, that meant you put money into your savings account and it sits there, but then it just dies with interest. So yeah, it's invaluable, really, kind of what you're doing.
We call that dead money. That's what that's called. No, it's a financial term. It's called dead money. Because the reality is the value of the dollar is plummeting. And so money that you just have sitting there is going to be worthless
Hmm. Yeah.
if you
Well,
don't
Fortunately,
and
put it
always
to grow.
I
I
just
know.
transferred it right back to my checking and spent it. Oh,
I
So
always,
there you go.
sure.
I always like hate to fearmonger, but it's like, there's only so much time. So it's like there's only so much time that you can, be doing what you're doing. And so, your future self will thank you when you do that. And I think speaking with you today and talking through all these things, one thing what comes to note is that like a lot of people talk about their career, but a career, has to have a path. And without a path, it's just a title, a thing that you maybe got a certificate on or you did that job. But with a path, you also need a guide. You need someone to help you along that path. There's going to be a struggle. It's going to be a little struggle bus on your path. So having a guide will truly help you become successful. And that's something that I really appreciate having the time to talk to you about. And, working with customers from salon scale and working with you together, that's exactly what this has created is a strong path to success. And with that, I just want to also like thank you so much for putting people on our direction and helping people get the cash into their business so that they can make these stronger pathways to what success looks like for each and every one of them.
Yeah. Well, it's my pleasure. Thank you. I mean, like I'm blown away by the power of salon scale. I really am. And it does allow also companies and stylists to be able to afford to work with people like us. And it's not as expensive as a lot of people would think, especially when we help you generate the revenue to be able to pay for it. There's no reason not to except for fear.
Yes, the impact. Those that do make the transition and they see it like it's exponential. I think it's even like 400 times ROI of what you're actually spending for the subscription. But what it does do is unlocks a lot of stress. It unlocks cash flow in your business. It allows you to kind of it's the simplest, easiest, cheapest, I would say, way investment in yourself, so that you can invest in coaches and the help to be able to advance true growth initiatives in your business, and really retirement and savings, so that you don't feel shackled to that business. So I think that it's a wonderful thing to say yes to, for sure.
Yeah. And not to mention the living benefits. Okay. Most people don't talk about living benefits or even know what are living benefits. But let's just be real. The beauty profession is at a elevated risk of many, many illnesses and diseases, cancers, allergies, skin contact dermatitis, which I have suffered from myself. And even Kylie had cancer. We don't know if it was connected to the beauty industry, but the statistics are alarming. And
Yeah.
so when people, beauty professionals don't have a plan in place, then that's where they're like going to go into poverty if something happens, or could, be trying to live off GoFundMe, which we know doesn't last. But if somebody needs to get treatment, somebody needs to take time off work, they're not making money behind the chair. How are they going to keep the lights on? How are they going to put food on the table? So my uncle, who was a financial planner, he used to always say, Lacey, people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. And it's so true, because you have to have a plan for those things, especially when we know the risk involved. And so even again, creating the extra revenue to put into something like that um, is so much security, financial security for you and also your family. It's so
So
much deeper than just making more off of hair color.
oh, exactly. I mean, I think that kind of highlights the point. It's not just, or we don't do what we do just to make money, just to bring more revenue into salons or help do all that stuff. We, ultimately want to make sure that people have a long lasting career and are protected and truly feel, confident and positive in what they're doing. And I think that's, it's great to see those connections. And so with that, we're heading kind of towards the end of our episode today, but I'd love to, if people want to get a hold of you and connect with you, what is the best way for them to connect with you?
They can reach out to me on Instagram at official beauty concierges.
Amazing. And we'll make sure we'll put this in the show notes for anyone that's listening to this as well. We'll link that out as well. And then, yeah, we've heard it here today, Lacey and her story. And, go ahead and get her book. Go ahead and, book that call, and you'll have that help. You'll have that guide, that coach that's going to really help you get through this, especially if you're thinking about it. And then for those who are ready to come and check SalonScale out, head to salonscale.com, and we'd be happy to speak with you as well. And with that, thanks again for tuning in to this episode of the Parts and Labor podcast. We'll see you next time. Take care.